And it's here. We're live.
Oh, such good timing on my part that I totally.
It was pretty good timing. It was. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Black Tower Podcast. I am one of your hosts, one of your Mahels, who needs to remember to unmute in Discord as well, because I forget everything. But somehow I am still your Bajan Mahel Andrew, and welcome. I am joined by my fantastic colleague here. I don't know what I'm doing with my voice.
What are you doing with your voice?
All the wrong things.
All the wrong things is right. You get a point. Hi, and with him as always is his game show announcer impressionist, Josh, otherwise known as the Sorovan Mahale. Welcome to the Black Tower Podcast. Yay! And tonight on the Black Tower Podcast, we've got a special show for you. It contains mystery, wonder, taintiness, and a free lifetime packet of Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
Is it really just the San Francisco treat? Like if you're not in San Diego, you don't get one?
I don't know. I made it up.
Rice-A-Roni was freaking delicious, though. I'm sure it still is. I just hadn't had it in forever.
Delicious.
Absolutely.
And now that we've got all our introductions out of the way, Andrew, let's take a minute to thank tonight's sponsors.
I mean, yeah, we can. If you find yourself running low on tubs of energy in powder form that are genderless energy with none of that artificial crap.
Did you say genderless energy?
Jitter. I mean, it's also genderless energy? Gender neutral?
I was like, what the hell?
Yes. Would you like for your energy to be genderless and or gender neutral? Well, boy, do we have a new marketing point for w.gg to use. Go on over to w.gg or click the link in the description or show notes below where you can use our code. That's code BTP to get 10% off anything not already on sale over at w.gg. They've got a ton of different flavors. They've got a limited time offer flavor, which I'm kicking myself now for not going ahead and getting. It's still available, but it is pomegranate inspired.
Ooh.
I can't imagine why anybody in the Wheel of Time TV show fandom would like to get anything with pomegranate. Well, that's persimmons, but close enough.
Persimmons.
About the closest we're going to get. It's close enough. They're
only when they're in season.
Yeah. I think that should also just be like anytime like Maria makes a factual statement, we should just be like, well, persimmons. Did the dad joke recover from it a little bit? But anyway, w.gg, use code BTP or click the link down below, 10% off everything on there, and you can get some awesome shakers that have big anime mommy milkers on it if that's what you want. Or you can get regular ones, regular shakers. Regular one that just say W. So, and they got a bunch of flavors. Go check them out. It's fantastic energy. I love it, and I might have put an extra scoop in mine today, which is why I'm so like off the wall at the moment. Apparently, maybe it actually works more than I thought it did.
Maybe,
but there's that. But without further ado, we're gonna bring in some fancy people that are also full of energy that will never be 10% off because they are absolutely priceless. Say hello to our guest for tonight, the fantastic and illustrious Tom of Dragonmount. And Maurice of North Harbor Podcast.
Hello.
Hello.
I really wanted to be like, and down behind door number 2 is a brand new car.
A new car. Love it. It is not every night that we are joined by not one but 2 illustrious guests.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Tom, do you want to give everybody an update on your monitors?
They're mostly connected now. I literally, before we jumped on, I was crawling under my desk to plug in the microphone because I forgot to plug my microphone back in.
That's how I
feel. You guys have to see me have my butt, my face down and my butt up.
That's the way I like to feel.
Good times. And then you guys all know Tom from Dragon Mount
Oh yeah, right.
as well. Tom is from Dragon. He's got it in his lovely byline there. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. Also, Reese, Madam Reese Sedai, please introduce yourself. Tell us where the people can find you,
Oh,
or if they can find you.
If you just no, North Harbor North Harbor Podcast is where you can find me. If you need a map, we have one on Twitter.
I'm in Dallas
It's at the
Page.
top.
It's right there. There's the map.
I had to get monetized 101.
That's right. That's right. But you're with two other co-hosts at the North Harbor Podcast.
Yes. Rebecca Sedai and Adalorna Sedai, and we like to read the books from the back. We like to take it from the back.
You read from the back to the front, then.
We do, yeah. And we are
I thought you were
almost
supposed to do-
done with A Memory of Light.
Oh, that means
Craziness.
you passed me already.
Yep. They
Have
already
you ever
passed
been like
you.
reading it from the back and then you look back and the dragon just waves at you and it kills your whole mood to read?
Oh.
Like, oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Barry.
That is my favorite, like, oh, hi thing ever. Just, oh, hi, Mark.
Well, he who comes with the wine, as we all know, there are no beginnings or endings in
We're
the
actually
wheel of time.
we want to have a prologue party because the prologue is massive, and yeah, it's going to be a beginning and an ending party because
Love it.
It's the beginning of the book, but our ending of the book.
Yay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. I love it.
It's the second best PP party and far from the worst PP party.
That's fair.
That's yeah.
Because
At
nobody
least you
wants
know you
to
won't
go
get
to
a
a
urinary
prolapse
tract
party.
Depending on what you're into, you know?
Prolapse
Depending on
party
what
is
you're
generally
into.
a trip to the emergency room. So
We have cranberry juice. It'll be fun.
Me too.
What have we done, Andrew? What have we done?
you know, we say we're insane, and people keep thinking we're joking. Then we have episodes like this where, you know, you got me over here talking about prolapse parties and shit like that. So they still don't believe us. They're like, no, it's just a bit. They definitely aren't crazy. And it's like,
No,
Because
yeah.
everybody else was thinking it. We just said it out loud.
That's true. That's the effect that the Black Tower has on people, and that's okay.
That's the 10% off you get at W. It just removes the
At least it's the fun crazy and not like the icky dangerous crazy. So that's
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, we cut all of that in post.
yeah. Apparently, I learned something new
What's
about
that?
myself. Apparently,
Andrew's outing himself.
I mean, technically, wine outed me.
Well,
What is wine?
one was reading between the lines, my
Icy
friend.
water.
There were lines involved. I know that.
Oh,
What?
okay.
Hi. Okay, so this is the Black Tower Podcast. We are a Wheel of Time podcast, which means we like to discuss all things Wheel of Time. We like to
All
discuss the
things Lord
books.
of the Rings.
We like to discuss
wait,
the
no.
TV show.
That's somebody else's podcast. It's a fantastic
like to-
podcast. You should go and check it out.
We like to discuss like conventions and the state of the fandom and the culture of the fandom and whatnot. It's just fun. If it's Wheel of Time, we're talking about it. And tonight's no different. And that's why we brought two of our good friends on tonight. Be sure to check the descriptions below for their particular medias and or channels because you won't want to miss out on what they say on their channel. I can talk. I have words.
You might want to.
You have them. That doesn't mean you can use them. You just have them.
And
I know
tonight's
people that-
episode...
well, I'm sure there are people that have tanks, but they can't use them. You know, decoration
Like-
purposes only.
Eddie Hall has a tank.
Yeah, didn't he get in trouble with like?
Yeah, he did. He got arrested.
The local
That was
police because
hilarious.
he ran over a car in the street. They like came to arrest him. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have to use like 3 sets of handcuffs because the dude is freaking jacked.
He's the beast. The dude is monster. He's an absolute monster.
But so the we're not a monster. Before we get into tonight's topic, we want to go ahead and make sure you are safe from any and all forms of spoiler. So we're going to go ahead and throw up the fancy banner, and we're going to go ahead and play this lovely, nice, calming, dulcet toned spoiler warning.
This is your Black Tower podcast, Wheel of Time spoiler warning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. If you continue to listen, you may be cursed with the knowledge yet to come. These curses may include knowledge that you are, in fact, just a farm boy. Drinking 1 glass of wine now leads to mustache pulling and a hell of a hangover. Resigning that you will never be as good with the ladies as your friends are. Realizing Androl is bae, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation. The inability to stop tugging your braid in anger, even if you don't have hair. And understanding that the word taint is simultaneously a noun, adjective, and verb. Discovering you have more titles than actual name. The BDE, also known as Big Dragon Energy, becomes undeniable. Finding yourself promising to read A New Spring and never getting to it. An uncontrollable urge to argue over inconsistent pronunciations. Knowing that hating Gon is a responsibility, not a privilege. Again, there are no beginnings or endings to spoilers, but this is a beginning. You have been warned.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yamate Kudasai.
So, the spoiler warning is important, not necessarily because we have a specific topic that's going to jump into a specific scene in the books, but it is one of our more unhinged style subjects where we kind of say, I wonder, what about, and then we say, what about this thing? And then we just kind of go from there. We let it unravel.
If we're unraveling tonight,
Check
then
'em out.
I should have showered.
Yeah.
It's also a
just
good
common
song.
courtesy.
It's a good song. That's the intro song for Tokyo Ghoul,
Hey.
which is really good. The song is. I think it's a little 50-50 split on whether you read the manga or not. But that's not what this tonight's about. Tonight we are talking about souls.
I don't have one of those.
Not Soul Eater and not Bleach.
I'm barefoot.
I mean, the fair point. Like, is that just like a really furry foot, or
You know, I like
it
to
gets
I like
pixelated
to
in
leave it up
Japan.
to your imagination.
I'm gonna go with the
It's whatever.
pixelated in Japan imagination.
Do it, dreamer.
But tonight we're talking about the soul of the dragon. We talked a little while ago about the soul always being reborn, but not always necessarily being given the OP isekai boost that is the status of dragon. So this time we're going to talk about, is Rand actually the second dragon, or is he maybe the first dragon, or is he like the 800th dragon, or does it really matter because time is a circle and there are no endings or beginnings? It's almost like it's a wheel of time.
Yeah.
God.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Revolutionary
Blew my mind a little
deduction
there.
right there.
Did a wind blow down and give you that knowledge?
Something blue.
A wind blew across the hair on my toes,
So you were also
which
barefoot.
is really
Nice.
that's really how Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit should have started.
Just the hair on Bilbo's toes fluttering in the wind.
It just zooms out and it's just hair. Just I don't feel like we get enough like credit to the feet from Lord of the Rings.
Credit to the feet.
Yep, credit to the feet. But so, Tom, you have been immersed in all things Wheel of Time for quite some time. At least 3 or 4 years. At least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
At least
So-
4 years.
There's definitely video documentation of that.
Yeah. So I don't know that there's many questions we could ask you that you haven't heard before. So what are your thoughts on this? Which dragon is Rand? Does it actually matter? Can you even count them?
I mean, it's hard to. I mean, it's definitely really hard to answer. Like we know that the souls are reborn over and over. My only like the little bit of evidence that we have of Rand's previous lives is Lews Therin talking in his head, and Arthur Hawkwing addressing him when the horn's blown, and he addresses him as Lews Therin. He doesn't address him as anything else, which makes me think either this is like Rand is the first reincarnation of Lews Therin. Maybe this is the first time they needed a dragon, like a representative of the light. But if it had come again, then if it had come before, then we're in the situation of like where we are at the end of the series, in the sense of they've completed everything and there hasn't had to been a dragon for so long that any knowledge of a previous dragon has been forgotten. So essentially it's the first time again. That's my feeling.
Interesting. Reese, what do you think? I know you've had tons of time. Both of you have had tons of time to prepare.
So much.
And
time
so we
to
look
think about
forward
this.
to your incredibly in-depth analysis.
Careful now,
Wow.
you're revealing the method behind the madness that is rambling bad jokes.
If you'll wait as I present my 27-point plan here.
I'm ready.
No, I think I feel like this is one of those like chicken egg conversations where it's like every age thinks theirs is the first. And since we are cyclical, like they're all right and they're all wrong. But like as to what Tom was saying with Arthur Hawkwing, like maybe that was the first, maybe Lews Therin was the first, or maybe Lews was just the incarnation when Arthur Hawkwing was around. You know, I don't know. I think it's I mean, we have the female dragon, I can't remember her name. But so we know that she's
Amarasir,
there.
kind of.
Yes. Yeah. So she's in there somewhere. We don't know if that's before or after or yes. I don't know. This is one of those fun questions because it's
Yeah.
like yes.
The thing, going like really far back, the other person who goes really far back in the books, or at least talks about it at all, is Brigitte, and it's like she talks about the prescripts and abiding by them and having to follow rules and stuff like that. So it's like there's something there, and we think maybe time is cyclical. Like the only information we get that from is the Aes Sedai and like the people, but like, and then the person who's called the father of lies. Like I always defer to Robert Jordan when trying to decipher anything that the Forsaken tell us.
I mean, if you want to use that source, that's cool, I guess.
Well, he said it was my favorite thing. So like someone was like arguing with him about like something that happened in the book. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something Ishamael said. And they were like, well, Ishamael said that. And he goes, and you believed him? So like, that's why it's like,
I love it.
Ishamael saying Rand and him have fought over and over every lifetime. Like, he's crazy. 2, he's a liar. So like, I don't think we should believe him when he says stuff like that. I think either Reese, like you're right. It's the first time was Lews Therin, like the first dragon, the first time the pattern needed somebody to correct such an imbalance that was the boar was then, or it takes so long for it to need a new champion of the light like that like literally all knowledge of it is gone.
Yeah, I think in any age that you live in, where especially if there's a prophecy of him being reborn, but where the dragon is referenced as the dragon reborn, necessitates that whoever that dragon is not the first one. Because how could you be the dragon reborn if you're the first one, unless you're just like, we assume that there was one before you, so we'll just say that you're reborn from whoever that was.
Yes.
Which might be fair. I'm sure there's people running around like the Westlands that are like, Rand al'Thor is the dragon reborn again.
And so Bob in the 7th age is the Rand reborn? Like,
I mean,
does
that's...
everybody that see him in that age go, I recognize you, Rand al'Thor. I don't care that you're short and squat and have black hair.
And that's what I was wondering.
And are reborn by that time.
Are they? Yeah. Is it always the dragon? Like, do they have a different name for them like, this is our dragon reborn, but what if this is only the second dragon, but before then it was, what if it was called the white lion before, or
Aslan,
the golden crane? Like, what if all of our nations are actually named after previous dragons we have forgot about?
That's cool.
I like that. That's cool.
Well, and there's one part about this that
it makes
sticks out.
sense. It makes sense because what is it, Ebudar, that their symbol is a hand grabbing the blade of the sword instead of the hilt?
Yeah.
That's just TV show Rand.
Stop.
It fits. It's perfect. It's perfect. But they felt it was a little irresponsible to show children that, so they put a gauntlet on the hand so that nobody would get mad at them.
They got really shady in here.
Look.
JD against Rand, because who does that? Like, if you really think you're defeating ultimate evil, I guess anything is to go. But
the sticking point for me becomes two things. One,
point of a sword. Yeah.
And the people, granted, the people referring to Rand as Lews Therin are people who knew him directly in the last life, in the previous age, right?
Mm-hmm.
So cool, yeah, they're going to call him Lews Therin. But if they really did know him from age upon age upon age upon age, as Baalzamon claims, or as Moradin claims, then why would it matter that they call him Lews? Why would it matter? Why wouldn't they call him Dragon or Rand or Bob? It wouldn't matter. Like, so, and then the other thing is at the end of the last battle, when Randadin is leaving the battle, he's no longer the dragon. He's no longer Ta'Veren. So does it have to be that soul, or did Lews Therin tie himself to the prophecy in some way in his actions? Because to me, I feel like this leap from Lews Therin to Rand, I feel like this is a singular connection between the second and third age to help usher in each new age.
Or was Lews tied to the title of the dragon because he failed?
Yeah.
So are you saying he had unfinished business?
He had to be reborn because he didn't do it right the first time.
And remember,
so he needed a second try.
That Robert Jordan takes a lot of inspiration from a lot of scripture and religious culture and things like that. And dragon is not always a good thing. in the Book of Revelations in Christianity, to see the dragon was a very bad thing. And so I really like that perspective on it, Reese, because it's like
That dragon
Jesus
also
killed
had
the last
7
one.
heads, 7 ages. Interesting. 7 heads, 7 crowns, 7 ages.
seven seals.
In one of the books that was edited out of the Bible, Jesus kills a dragon in a cave. So there's that.
That's still available in the Apocrypha, I believe.
Turns
One
out
of those.
that's actually how Luz Theron died.
That's actually how he dies.
I-
Well, they say the victor writes history, so
I always took the dragon and Taverin as kind of like corrections that the pattern needs to rebalance itself. Like the pattern is unthinking, uncaring, and when the Dark One, or even just somebody, like if something unbalances the pattern, the wheel or just existence will spit out the needed Taverin to rebalance it out again, and then stop them being a Taverin again. Because we know people can become Taverin at any point and stop being Taverin at any point. Like you don't have to be born, you don't have to be a channeler. Like you could be a Taverin. So it's
Well,
I always took it as like a balancing mechanism, like almost like the pattern and the wheel and existence in itself is like a computer, and like when there's a corrupted bit of code, it sends out like an antivirus to correct itself, and that's a Taverin. And like sometimes you need the strongest Taverin, and that's the dragon.
well, that's like we see a microcosm of that with the 3 or 4 Taverin, depending on whatever you believe from the book.
I think they're all Taverin.
Yeah, but you see
Entire town.
like
Sorry.
many are almost proxy Taverin from them, because
Little
if Rand
town.
really needs
It's a quiet village.
Almond
Don't do
Bunt to do something amazing to help him out, then his Taverin nature influences Almond Bunt to make that happen. So it's almost like he temporarily makes Almond Bunt, not saying this is an exact example.
Almond
but,
Bun.
if he needed that. Because he does, I firmly believe, I ascribe to you have the 3 Taverin, and the others are like Taverin by proxy, which is no less important. I think like Egwene is a Taverin because of how close she is with Rand and how desperately and badly Rand needs her. And so like the pattern's like, okay, yeah, he really needs Egwene to like, I don't know, be a voice of reason whenever you're talking nonsense because you're crazy. Or just provide just enough resistance because any plan that doesn't ever get pushed back should not be the one you go with. Kind of thing. That's how I always looked at it. It's kind of like a microcosm of doing the same thing the pattern does, but just as needed and generally on a much shorter notice or much shorter duration, with the exception of like Egwene and Nynaeve. So,
I always thought that literally, if not every single main character at some point was a Taverin, if not the entire time, then at the very least the Emmonsfield 5 were for a lot of the time that they were, alive during the books. Too many things happens directly to them, and too many things work out directly in their favor to just be sheer coincidence all the time. Like other than Rand, Mat, and Perrin, because we know they're Taverin, but for Egwene and Nynaeve and even some of the other Emmonsfielders, like things just work out for them too well.
Well,
I always thought that, especially with Egwene. I always felt like it just went a little too smoothly for you. Like, that's very nice. That's very nice how that worked out.
Except for all the
and we've got
and the slavery.
We've got examples of. We've got examples of what's the right word for it? Like Taverin by proxy, right? Where we've got a Taverin who needs a thing to happen, and in order for that thing to happen, other people must be Taviran in order to accomplish the things they need to accomplish in order to make sure that the Taviran is success. I mean, are we going to really sit here and say that Talmanes was not Taviran adjacent by virtue of running the Band of the Red Hand?
But isn't that
No,
he
part
was
of
good.
what
He was
Taviran
talented.
is they pull other threads into their
Right.
like pattern.
Yeah.
To kind
They
of
pull what
balance
they
things
need
out.
at the
Right.
time to them. Yeah.
And what does Matt need throughout the books? He needs the Band of the Red Hand. He needs it to accomplish a number of different things. So Talmanes, who is largely in charge of putting together, like recruiting, organizing, and training the band for a long time while Matt is not even present. As a matter of fact, Matt leaves, comes back, and then he's like, "What the crap is all this?" And then they're like, "Ah, it's for your glory, Lord Matt." And he's like, "Don't call me that."
Don't.
And no, for real, I did not want any of this.
You trust him enough that even in the end, he's in charge of the dragon.
Z.
Ayo!
The pattern doesn't care what Matt wants. So the pattern gives Matt what he needs to accomplish the tasks that it needs accomplished in order to get to the right ending. Is essentially the way I always viewed that. Like Talmanes is just another one of the tools that Matt needed, and
Right.
and he brought him there. Like he's a great leader. He's charismatic. He was the guy that needed to be in that position. He was.
So he wasn't necessarily Taviran adjacent, but more a tool for a Taviran.
Yeah.
So then there's a good question too, which might be a good idea for another episode, and maybe not. Maybe we can do it in this one since we're talking about what we're talking about. All the people that we see come around are our core group of heroes, if you want to call it that, like the kind of Evan Field 5. Are they pulled to them because they are already the right people for the job, or are they made the right people for the job by the Taviran pull of the core 5? And I'm giving it the two opposite because it probably is actually a mix of both. That the pull makes them more towards, they're already predisposed towards it. But if you had to hardline choose one or the other, I'm curious.
If I had to
it's
choose,
a hard decision.
if I had to choose one over the other, I would say the stronger of the Taviran pulls what's needed to them, and then it gets spun out however it's spun out. So like Rand being in the village, like being brought back to the Two Rivers, is what brought the souls of Matt and Perrin being spun out in the village. If Rand was in Devon Ride instead of Two Rivers, they would have been born in Devon Ride. Like if he was in Barillon instead of the Two Rivers, they would have been born in Barillon. They like Egwene and Nynaeve might have been the same thing, or maybe just two other female channelers. Like I think you get down to like when you start at Rand and go down from there, like Rand, Matt, Perrin, in strength of Tavaranness. At the time of the beginning of the books, I don't think Egwene and Nynaeve were necessarily. And then as they were being built up around Rand, they were kind of in the right spot at the right time for the pattern to use. It could have been somebody else that, like it could have not been them. It just it depends on how much, what you believe, like the alternate timelines and things are. Not to get off topic, but for those of us who
We never do that here. ever.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
for people that have watched Loki, I'm not, no spoilers or anything, but like there's a singular sacred timeline, the main timeline, and then there are branching timelines. In the Wheel of Time, what my personal theory and something the evidence that I used to back it up with is the when they go to the alternate portal stone worlds, we have the main timeline, their timeline, and then when they go into the alternate realities of the what if worlds, the way Lanfear explains it is the further away you get from reality, like the further differences in the timeline that you get from what happened, the weaker the reality becomes. Like it becomes thinner. So I think and the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people think that there are infinite timelines and they're all this equal to the main one. So like, in one world, maybe Egwene was there, maybe she wasn't, maybe she becomes the Outlander, maybe she doesn't. And that's possible, but I think there's one main timeline though. And the pattern kind of either uses the alternate ones as like a testing ground, or they are just like, randomly spun out by the different options, and only the one that works out perfectly ends up becoming the one that goes on. Like the pattern kind of is like, all right, well, I can't fix it in this 1,000 years. Maybe I'll get it in, 5,000 more years. It'll get fixed, but it'll get fixed 5,000 years from now. It'll suck for those people that live in those centuries or whatever it is, but sucks. Sorry, doesn't matter to the scheme of the pattern. 5,000 years is nothing. So.
Oh, this is interesting to think about because, like, I'm gonna go from a very biased standpoint here. Like, think about Matt and Aludra. The pattern could have easily given him Tamis. They could have killed Aludra, stolen all her fireworks. He could have gotten out of the stone, no problem. Like, everything cool. But instead, the pattern gave him Aludra, who eventually brought about the dragons. And so I think that's interesting where it's like there are choices available, but the pattern or the Ta'veren choose the one that has the better outcome. Like there is like future thought to it. It's interesting to think about how, like, it's almost like chess. Like, how many steps ahead do you want to think?
It's also fate versus free will. Like, is everything preordained, or is it actual free will? I lean more towards it's free will, and if the people fuck it up too much, then it'll just get fixed. It'll take longer to get fixed.
Well, and we've talked about this before too, where you've got Ta'veren is essentially law of averages, law of statistics, law of chance, right? You just because I'm Ta'veren,
manipulating probability.
Yeah. Just because I'm Ta'veren doesn't mean I can walk into a room and shoot everybody in the room, and maybe something miraculous will happen where I can't kill one guy. But as we've learned, and from Morshadi has shared this because people have asked Robert Jordan what would happen if Rand would have died on his way to Tarmon Gai'dan. And Robert Jordan said exactly where Tom was going with this. Well, then the pattern would have compensated. Either someone else would have been endowed with that Ta'veren ability and responsibility, or 10 someone else's would have been endowed with that. But there is a correction to the balance. So Ta'veren, I like where you're going with free will, because we've had this debate as well. Because what it does is it kind of says, no, you can do whatever you want. We're going to give you all the probability in the world we can to do the thing you need to do to accomplish your mission as a Ta'veren. If you do not, though, if you fail, this means that someone else will just have to pick up the slack. And I actually think this is a really fun segue back into the original question, and kind of what Reese was talking about how Lews Therin tied himself to the title and role of dragon into the revelations of being reborn to fix his fuck up, because that's what the pattern deemed it. So the pattern was like, no. You have unfinished business. You created a seal. It is imperfect, and it's time for you to go to sleep for a few thousand years and come back when the time is right. When the chances of success, It's manipulating that probability again when the chances of success are at its highest, which ironically enough is also when the White Tower is right at that point where it's at its weakest that it's ever been, but still strong enough to put up a fight at the last battle and to actually be effective at the last battle.
like
It's
a
funny because
convergence point.
when the chances are at their highest to be successful, the chances are also at their highest to fail.
Exactly.
So it's the most balanced point. It's
Yes.
a massive injection of restoring balance when you have so much of the world at very different extremes of balance. 'Cause
Layers.
you have the shadow becoming super strong and the light becoming super weak because of choices that have been made for the last 3,000 or so years, imperfect solutions beforehand. You know, the pattern came down and told old Luz Theron, put away your toys, and instead of putting them in the toy box, he pushed them all in the closet, closed the closet, and said, it's good. And 3,000 years later, the toys apparently become sentient and start breaking down the closet door. But
So
That is
I have
exactly
you said
I have an
maybe
interesting question. I have an interesting question. I mean,
Yeah, go
and
for
it kind of throws a wrench into. I mean, it throws a wrench even into what I'm saying, depending on how you think of it. So, in the sense of the pattern wanting to rebalance itself, unless the light literally can't unbalance the pattern, do you think it's possible for there to be a Ta'veren who is aligned with the shadow because the pattern needs that for whatever reason?
I don't think the pattern. So I think when you boil it down to it, I don't think the pattern itself actually seeks balance. I think the pattern seeks continuous creation, or the maintenance of creation. Because something you said earlier about the mirror worlds and stuff, and infinite worlds, made me think like, well, if you go off of the operating idea that all worlds are created based off of each individual separate choice. Yeah, there's a bajillion of them, but there is a finite amount. There's only so many combinations of decisions that can be made. So it would make it, in essence, infinite, but still technically finite because there's a finite combination. It's just way more math than I could ever possibly hope to do. But if that's the counterbalance, it ultimately results in balance. The creator driving creation or being creation, or however you want to look at it, wanting to continue to create and keep pushing creation out, recycling creation so that it stays there. And then the Dark One's like, this is literally a prison on the planet bullshit in the galaxy of this sucks the shadow's dick or whatever, and he's only trying to destroy. Then as long as they're both diligently fighting against each other to try to destroy and to try to create or maintain creation, then it's going to be that fighting that's going to seem the most peaceful to the observed and recorded history and reality, when they're at equilibrium of, I feel like I've destroyed a good bit. I've created a good bit. We're kind of at a stalemate in this. And I think that's probably what ultimately leaves us with this sense of balance, rather than, the infallible creator side of the light being able to completely overwhelm the dark.
Well,
I think maybe Shaitan is just so good at fucking things up and destroying things that they literally have to put him in prison and not get touched by him for a while to actually get things back to a stalemate.
So this is where I always I am unsure. Like, I can't make a decision on how I feel about this. So it's building right off of what you were saying, though. I see part of me thinks that the creator is dead. Like, there is no creator anymore. The creator had to unmake himself to make creation, essentially. Creation is what's left of the creator, like all creation. And the Dark One was also made by the creator, but is in the place where it needs to be to create the balance of the universe. Like, there needs to that essence needs to be there in order for the universe to function.
So,
Then
Tom, do you think ours is the only universe then?
In the world of the Wheel of Time, I think the universe that like the focal point, the one that we see, ours or Rand's or whatever. Yes, I think
that the creator has made.
No, I think he made. Well, I think he made the main universe, but then it has the ability to branch off.
Oh.
But the branches become weaker and weaker as you
Gonna
get
need a
further away.
loom.
Yeah.
Okay, but we keep making references to Loki, and if you haven't watched Loki season 2, sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
But that's actually a really cool way to look at this, and it ties perfectly into Wheel of Time, pattern of ages. What weaves a pattern?
And the Ouroboros, come on. That episode.
That's true. I mean, that's literally what I said. I ring it. But the other side of that, the part that makes me confused, like I'm not sure which one it is. It's either that one or because we know Robert Jordan liked to pull from mythology, all mythologies. Like there's, I want to say like literally he's pulled from almost every mythology you could think of. But one of the big ones of like creation and void. There's a good reference to that in Norse mythology with like the dark elves, emptiness, entropy, where when the creator came or Odin came and created all of creation, he created it in the void, but the void wasn't empty. It was just the void. And in the void was essentially the dark elves in Norse mythology, and they liked it empty. And that's why they fought to destroy everything, because they wanted to get back to the void. So that's maybe kind of what the Dark One is. The Dark One was the void. And the creator came along and put it in a bubble so that it wouldn't, create entropy in his creation. And then he made or they made or whatever, made the, made existence in the void. And all the Dark One wants to do is unmake that, because that's just its purpose.
Natural
That's
state.
what it is. Yeah, it's entropy. And we kind of see that a little bit in A Memory of Light with the Dark One. Like the Dark One it doesn't care. Like it doesn't want to kill Rand because it doesn't like Rand. It just wants to end everything. Like it just wants to end all existence, because that's just what it is.
Well, existence is literally the prison around the Dark Ones. So like, I don't want to be in prison anymore.
Yeah.
I would like to destroy the prison.
Void. It wants to create. It wants to spread out. It's nothing.
What's up, Reese?
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that's kind of interesting about this is there's so many different elements to it. We've got the creator, we've got the Dark One, we've got the wheel, we've got the pattern. How much is involved in what's actually happening? Like, is the creator there at all? Did he peace out and leave the bar and he's gone? And like he's working on a different universe somewhere else. Is the wheel like pre-programmed to compensate for when things get out of whack? Is it already set up to deal with the Dark One when he starts to get a little crazy? Like, I don't know. I think it's really interesting to think about, like, how much does the wheel already compensate on its own? How much does the creator, I don't know, interject? It's interesting.
Well, and that actually plays a direct role in the influence of our answer with regards to the avatar of the creator, which is, as we know, in this age and the previous age, would be the dragon. Because how much of
Not
that
the Avatar, but a very powerful agent.
Yeah, it's like a champion, not an avatar. That's how I always thought of it.
No, good
Avatar
point.
is
Touche.
Nakoni.
Good point. Yep. No, you're right.
Thank you, Dr. Livingston.
Yeah, right. For real.
We all
Thank you.
kind of like, well, not we all knew, or we all kind of figured. I figured, but that's because I had no better idea. I figured because I had no better
Flex
idea,
over
not
here.
because I understood it better. That's what. Look, I have a mustache. Dr. Livingston has a mustache. That was the best stuff I could come up with. He knew it was.
Should I grow out my mustache?
Yes.
You should.
Absolutely.
Oh, shit. I had no idea.
Yep. No
just-
Shave November is also known as homage to Dr. Livingston's mustache month.
Yes.
Well, I'm
It-
sorry to everyone on my
want to
dating
see-
profile.
I want to see a glorious mustache upon you in April.
Yeah. If you need inspiration, just watch.
Oh, it'll be
Million
there
Ways to Die
tomorrow.
in the
I'm
West.
Italian.
Million Ways to Die in the West is perfect inspiration for your mustache.
It's fantastic.
I want to see Reese tomorrow with like a picture of like a thick Mario mustache. And be like, if I don't
Just
see
shows
that
up
in your
and
Discord
it's the
tomorrow,
Yosemite,
No,
it's
Principe.
the Yosemite Sam clown, like cartoonish mustache.
No, it's gonna be it's like the Italian straight one, the one that just goes like straight
A little-
across.
It's gonna be a
little more
Wario
global
smash.
reach.
I'm just gonna tell you all right now.
Wario. Oh god.
Wario, the Dali, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. No, that's great because, like, so if the creator had unmade himself as a singular entity to become creation, it would stand to reason that his will remains in the creation. That would
He who
explain the
remains?
existence of Nakomi. For your Naruto fans, look at all the seals that has Minato and then Kushina speak to Naruto. Leave a bit of their essence in it so that they can talk to them in times of trial and trouble. Would make sense why Nakomi can still pop up and talk to different people once, apparently, one time. Avienda naked in the desert was the one time, which I've never been naked in the desert, but I'm assuming if I was, it's probably not the highest point of my life. I mean, I might be the highest I've ever been in life, but it's not like, you know,
It's the second
the
best
best
thing to
part of
being
my
on
life.
a horse
So
with
high.
no name.
Apparently you've never done ayahuasca in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Be naked in the
yeah,
desert.
no.
Don't worry.
I'm an East Coast baby. You know, most I've done is skinny dipping in a lake and then catching a
Through the
catfish the
desert?
wrong way.
On a horse with no name. I just
I
had to
thought,
get out
I
of the
thought its
rain.
name was Death, and hell followed with it. No?
And hell followed with him.
I don't know.
Bella!
I just know there's
Wait,
ghost
wrong
riders
show.
in the sky, so I just try not to mess with them too much.
Were they up there with Lucy?
With the diamonds?
Yeah. I mean, they were mining the diamonds that Lucy was up there with. So
God.
Lucy was actually the QA, the
Shine
quality
bright like a
assurance.
diamond.
You know,
And then
Honestly-
now Lucy was too direct, so now that's why they say every kiss begins with K. For quality.
you know, I just say if they liked it, they should have put a ring on it. That's, you know.
Well, you know, I don't cook and I don't clean, but I still got this ring. Let me tell you. I got this wet ass pee.
I knew it.
And that's a prologue party.
Hold on, I'll get a bucket
Wet
and a
ass
mop.
prologue party.
Right back. Oh, did you spill your milkshake all over the yard again?
Shit.
I did, but luckily all the boys came and cleaned it up
Nice.
More of this.
happily. They lapped it up hungrily.
I have a literal gallon 50-50 split of pomegranate cranberry juice and Tito's vodka.
That sounds amazing. What taint are you enjoying tonight, Reese?
This.
Ooh.
Oh, Bullet Rye is fantastic.
I know, man. I took a
love the
shot a
95.
little bit ago, and that's dangerous.
I mean, it is because it's so smooth. It's delicious. God.
I know. It's like, oh, that's bad.
Did you do
Take a shot and it's like I feel good about myself, but I feel bad about my future.
takes a shot?
Bullet Rye. That should be their selling
I'm
slogan.
in danger.
Feel good about yourself and dubious about your future at best. Bullet Rye.
It's like purple.
It is really good though. I never knew I liked rye as much until I had Bullet Rye. It was really good.
Did you do a tasting on our TikTok of that one?
No, because I had that at a restaurant out with the girlfriend, and then I never bought a bottle of it. I also bought a bottle
Son
of
of a
Wild
bitch.
Turkey rare breed cask strength. I never did review it. I actually had one that I was going to do in post like a couple weeks ago, but then the audio got drifted, and then I got annoyed and just didn't do it. But
Dude.
the label has been created for my Quest and Paladin whiskey delivery, so
Oh,
that will definitely
Dude.
be one.
There's a wild turkey with honey that's really good.
Oh yeah.
do you,
Well, the rare breed cast strength one it comes out at like 56%, so you definitely have to like dilute it down with water. But I recommend, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. I recommend it because I mean whiskey can be up to like, generally whiskey can be like up to like 60% or whatever, but it's only going to be enjoyable in the high 30s to like mid to high 40s. So,
my question,
in my opinion, do what
does
you want.
everybody know about the
Shaitan drinks
Quest
drinks his
and
whiskey at like 80%.
whiskey?
So.
What?
Does everybody know about the Quest and whiskey?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
Paladin's back on
elaborate.
sale
It is on sale.
again.
Matthew Lillard, the GOAT, Matthew Lillard, which, by the way, I have a feeling Matthew Lillard is a Wheel of Time fan,
Like Scoob,
and
and they said
I
fixins.
suspect
I thought they meant like
that
on
he's
the
a
sandwich.
fan of the Black Tower podcast. I'm going to throw that out there right there. I think he secretly listens. So Matthew Lillard,
Let's watch it
if
right
you
now.
secretly listen to the Black Tower podcast, we'd like to have you on to discuss your next flavor, which undoubtedly is going to be Quest End blended whiskey, Ashaman whiskey. That's going to happen.
Weren't people fan casting him as like Matt when like I saw a lot of people, I think I remember people fan casting him as Matt.
I think I could see a young Matthew Lillard as
young, way
as Matt. Like his SLC Punk and Hackers days, he could definitely have killed a Matt. Wow, that came out wrong. He could have played the role of Matt and done well at it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, Matthew Lillard, who would he play?
He would be Matt in like a What's New Scooby-Doo iteration of the Wheel of Time. Like instead of out there to save the world, they're just investigating all the crimes and like whatever like Kyrian becomes.
What if Matthew Lillard is Talmanes?
That would be pretty good. I would like that.
And Scoob is Matt.
No, think about it though.
Zoinks, Matt.
It's your army, dude.
See, I
long
would
becomes
give
Velma.
him. I actually would give him Jane.
Okay, I
Um,
like that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I mean,
Think he can stride far?
Like, what's the name though? I can't
tall as
remember
fuck.
the name when
Got
he's
quite
with
a
Matt.
no.
Yeah, no,
Noel?
I would make him up like Noel. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, he could do that.
I think that he would be a lot more fit for that role. Like, I think it would
If
be
he
funny
was-
to have him like playing snakes and foxes with Oliver and like.
If he was Noel, he would, every story he told about his wild adventures would have to be from another movie he was in.
Yeah. So I was on a river with my friends, and we were looking for a fortune in the forest, and
And we had no pets.
That would be how perfect would that be? Like, because everybody watching it would be like, he's just telling the story of his own movies, and all the readers would be like, "Oh my
But
god!"
really, like, think of him made up like this old guy who's like been through some shit, and he keeps telling these crazy stories, and everybody's like, "No, man."
Just picture like
okay.
crazy.
the grandkids come home and talk about like how it was a hard day at school. And he's like, I get that. This one time, my best friend was a talking dog, and he went to an island, and they pulled his soul out. But I
know
saved him
that.
because it was my best friend.
And
And it
Zoinks,
turned
you
out
wouldn't
it was his
believe what happened.
Raggy.
And then this one time,
Oh,
my
God.
best friend
Ruh-roh,
stabbed me
Rand.
too many times, and I died.
Ruh-roh Rand. Is Matthew Lillard on X?
That was definitely one of the Flickr scenes that like Rand just didn't talk about. Where like a dog
The
just
the, the claymation one or the animated one? That like he goes through. I mean, if he went through Flickr, he was a puppet. He was a freaking.
It's all of them.
He was
yeah.
claymation. He was animated. He was 2D. He was 3D.
That's what we need. We need the Dragon Reborn into the Feltiverse.
See, I gotta be honest. I'm looking at his pictures right now, and I am almost seeing Ruark right now.
He doesn't have the
That's the uber powerful
gravitas.
Shaggy.
See,
he doesn't have the screen presence to be Ruark. Like he just
See, I don't know. I'm looking at these older pictures of him, and I'm like, he might.
He-
And he's
he-
got enough of that like humor that you're like, is he joking? I don't know.
he would unless he can do like his voice, his normal voice doesn't make it. Like I just don't think he has the only word I could think of is gravitas. Like I don't think he doesn't have the presence that Ruark I feel like Ruark has in the books. I don't know what they're gonna do for the show, but like in the
Plays
books
Ishi. They just call him the father of lies because all of his stories sound so
of
ridiculous.
some bullshit. Yeah.
Let
There's no talking dog. You're insane. Now
you know
this
what he
Trolloc,
did?
on the other hand,
He could have been Tom.
Pet the Trolloc. Pet the Trolloc.
I could have swore that he was going to feed her to the Trolloc, and he's like, maybe he's just hungry.
Or
Snack time.
oh, what's his name?
There's this one time I had a blue mohawk. It's crazy.
Can't think of the
I-
name. That's terrible.
The
Man.
Asmodean. Yeah, he could have been Asmodean.
oh yeah, that 100%. That would have been that would be good. See that's a role that he could just be him. Like he wouldn't really have to do much acting. He could just be himself. He could talk normally. He could just play as himself. He doesn't need to do any kind of voice. He's snarky and funny, and he's smart. Like he could easily just do that.
I haven't seen him in anything recently.
I
Have you
see
guys
I
seen
see him
him?
a lot on TikTok for some reason. I don't
Okay.
know
Who,
why.
Matthew Lillard?
Yeah.
He was in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, he was Freddy, wasn't he?
No, he was Steve Raglan. Well, yeah,
I have
but he wasn't Freddy. He was the killer, the serial killer,
Yeah.
the bad guy.
to look.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Ruined my
That's
night.
fine. You know, that's not one that I plan on watching, and I pulled my earbud out whenever you said spoilers for Loki season 2. So we're good so far.
Matthew, he was actually real. You want to talk about gravitas, though? He actually did a good job. Like he was pretty effing scary.
I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet.
You should. You should go see it. If nothing else, it's fun.
That's fair. I don't know. When I saw that they were making a movie out of it, I was like, "You fucking kidding me?" That fucking stupid game.
I have it on VR. I have the video game on VR.
Okay.
And I am not yet brave enough to try it. Maybe one of these days I will stream it and let everybody see me
I can't
pee
even
my
get-
pants.
I can't even get past the girlfriend sending me jump scares on freaking Instagram because she knows if I haven't watched it. Because she asked me the other day, she's like, "Did you watch the video I sent you on Instagram?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I've seen them all." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, the last one." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And I'm going back to watch it so I can, do the guy thing and be like, "Oh no, I've definitely watched it. Sorry, I forgot what was in it." And then it was a jump scare, and I just like jumped back from the phone. I'm like, "Ah, fuck you!" And she's like, "I knew you didn't watch it." And I'm just like,
She's like, I know you didn't watch it because you didn't send me an angry text message.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I forgot for a moment that she's smarter than I am with that shit. So it got me pretty good. But
Ah, shit.
A little bit of peek.
So, okay. Kind of steering
So
it back
do
to a
we-
real question.
Oh, right. Wheel of Time.
go ahead.
We've not
What's that?
had
Oh, yeah.
an iteration of the dragon surviving an age. So now we've got Lews Therin dying at the end of age 2, and Rand dying at the end of age 3 We know he can't channel. He is not a Taviran. But he can seemingly manipulate reality with his mind. How long do we think Randadin's lifespan is?
You know, I think the reason
long
they
as he wants.
don't survive is because the nature of the assignment of the dragon moniker for the soul. It's an additional power bestowed upon the same reincarnated soul. And when that power is no longer needed to balance the world or whatever the goal is, then having it still exist in the world with the moniker is too dangerous.
Well, it's not just
So-
dangerous; it unbalances it.
Yeah. So for Luce there, and like the only alternative was to die. And there was the taint and everything else influencing it, and you didn't want, especially a tainted dragon, to continue on. For Rand, there was an alternative solution. You know, it's like, we have person who no longer wants to continue on and wants to end this endless cycle of rebirth and death. And then we got this guy who has had no control to do whatever he wanted in his life since he turned, 16, 17,
Right.
18, 20, depending on whether you're talking TV show or books. So let's just do the old switcheroo and give them both what they want. I see this as an absolute win. So I think, like, whenever it comes to that, it's whatever it takes to remove the dragon moniker from the soul. And I don't think it's because of the amount of gravitas, because that is the Sesame Street word of the day for the Black Tower podcast today. It comes with the dragon moniker. I don't think it's as simple as like with Severe and like assigning the role and then unassigning the role. I think that there's probably a lot more that goes into how integral that part of the soul or that attachment to the soul is. So there has to be a moment of, for lack of a better phrase, because it's not the word I want to use, but I don't know what the word I want to use is. I'm going to use trans interdimensionality.
Trans.
That's a lot of syllables.
Can you spell that, please?
Nope.
Can you?
Starts with a T
Is
and
that
ends
a
with a Y.
sentence?
I don't even want you to use it in a sentence. I want it spelled. Whoops.
Country of origin.
Use it in a dirty sentence.
Ayo.
I want to funk you. I want to fuck you in a trans. I already forgot the word.
Yeah, say it again.
Trans-dimensional
interdimensionality way.
Trans-interdimensional.
Hole.
Dimensionality.
Trans interdimensional hole.
Interdimensional.
I want to fuck you in your trans interdimensional hole.
Extra hole. Okay, there we go.
You got to pay extra
like-
for that.
You got to pay the trolls toll if you want to get into that
Like-
boy's hole.
Sticking your Johnson in a bag of holding.
You got to pay the trolls toll.
Honestly, I think the pattern kind of, or Rand kind of worked it out so that he could just do shit that he just kind of clean things up at the end, go maybe see his dad, wait for after his wives to finish the funeral and get settled and relaxed and away from people. Then he can go see and say goodbye to them, and he could finish off all of the things that he wanted to do, and then he can die. I think that's kind of why he ended up doing, like, he ended up where he was at the end with his stuff.
I'd like to think that like he becomes like in his old age, that he lives out to old age, and he becomes like a sage for Amara Sue. Like maybe Amara Sue pops up in the fourth age to kind of deal with some other form of imbalance.
What
and
if-
he's like there's kind of like the sage and be like mysterious guidance from the past from someone that could only have ever been the dragon, but you don't know that because I haven't told you that yet, so you can't call me out yet.
Well,
Yeah.
Now carry
At the end of the
17,000
last
buckets
battle-
of water up and down the hill because that's what the Aiel would do.
at the end of the last battle, things are likely as balanced as they possibly could be, right? Because one of the things we learned, This is not like Star Wars. This is not the Force. Light side Force wielders do not balance each other out by dark side Force wielders. We don't have to have 10 on one side and 10 on the other, or 100 on one side and 2 really strong ones on the other. In the Wheel of Time, the people have free choice. If they choose to do evil or if they choose to do good, that does not knock the whole pattern out of balance. Right?
No.
So at the end of the last battle, where we have probably as much balance as we can possibly achieve realistically, which would be why Rand has almost no power and at the same time complete power. Like, it's a weird sort of
Be the most
place to
balanced.
be.
I think the pattern would also take actions to try to head off or rectify threats to the balance, because after the last battle you have 2 massive land masses with massive populations that are disproportionately unaffected in terms of like their core population by the last battle. Shan-Chan and Sara. They only sent out their militant forces. It's only their militaries that went out. It's only their actual combat style factions that went out. Their populations are left, their normal civilian populations are largely untouched. So now moving into the 4th Age, you have 2 largely civilian populations, one of which who literally just believes that their herald of sanctity for the end times just got murdered by the people that were over the mountains. So they're going to be pissed and they're going to want retribution. And they're also not a part of, I don't know what that thing is called, the Dragon's Peace, because nobody like brought them into it.
They didn't know they existed.
That's
The
Loophole, bitch.
Yeah. So I see what I'm getting at ultimately with that, and it's very, very quick, and then I'll shut up and call it there, Tom. Is that you're going to have 2 forces, one that wants to reclaim the Westlands and another one that wants to make the Westlands pay, or the wetlands, not the West, not Westeros or Westlands, whatever kind of amalgamation that was, that are probably going to come to a head, and they're going to be also seeking weaponry or advantage in it, especially now that the dragons exist and people are familiar or starting to become familiar with artillery. So you're probably going to have people that are like, well, they sealed away a great source of power that we never knew about, so let's try to unleash that again. And to me, that sounds like just the fantastic side of like, I can look forward and see that things are going to be fucky, that Amara Sue would be incredibly talented at dealing with.
That's fair. The only just to go back to the populations being unaffected, the bubbles of evil could still happen everywhere. They don't have to. They don't just happen in the Westlands. The Blight was also part of the Shan-Chan and in Shara. The Dark One's touch in the sense of bending reality toward the negative still affected those areas. Like the global climate being fucked up for so long would have caused famine and disease in the Shan-Chan as much as it did in the Westlands and in Shara. So like there's a lot, like, yes, they weren't fighting the last battle literally on their doorstep, and Rand and the Rand and the Forsaken and everything weren't literally there, but I wouldn't say that they were unaffected. Like I maybe they weren't as bad, but I don't think that they were unaffected.
And that's what I meant when I said like largely unfazed. Like I should have been clear about that. That was in comparison to the Westlands.
That's fair.
Because
Okay.
the Shan-Chan had pretty much eradicated Trollocs and their Nectar of the Blight, or at least held them back effectively enough where they couldn't do incursions further on. I mean, assuming obviously that there were no waygates and no conquering army ever lies about their homeland or anything like that and how perfect it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So in comparison to the direct struggles that the Westlands had, ignoring the overarching ones that everybody had to deal with is more so what I meant.
Okay.
Now, what degree that actually makes a difference is absolutely up for debate, because it could be only 10%. It could be like 70%.
Well,
Not 70%.
I mean, we know you're definitely right about the Shanshan still being a thing, because Robert Jordan originally planned on writing like an Outrigger novel is what they called the prequel. So the prequel, New Spring, was supposed to be one of 3 Outrigger novels that he was going to write. One was New Spring, one was Tam and his time with the Ilian companions and going into Blood Snow, and then the third one was supposed to be Matt and Tuon returning to the Shanshan, and also Perrin going in that direction as well. Like the unofficial rumor was that like Perrin was essentially going to kill Matt because he was helping Tuon gain control over the Shanshan, and like she's bad and they don't want that. So I doubt that that's what would have ended up happening. Like it would have ended up working out that didn't happen probably. But
Collar to on.
yeah. But
Hashtag collar 2 on.
I don't mean to be
At least you
rude, bro,
know-
but
at
your
least
girl's
you
kind
know.
of a downer, bro.
Okay, but
listen,
for
man.
real.
I particularly started not liking Matt when he fell so hard for Tuon and didn't like really be a stickler for being like, hey, you can't have slaves though. Like we need to talk about that. And like he was just like, nah, okay.
Give him time though. I really feel like give him time.
The scene where
I will
She
give him
co-
until the fuse burns down.
she collars to Aes Sedai when they're in Val and Lucas Circus, and when he looks at her after she got the 2 Aes Sedai collared, she's so excited that she's got 2 new Damin to play with, that she's like super excited and super happy, and he thinks in his head when he's looking at her, oh, she's never been more beautiful than right now, and it's like, ew, like
Fair. No, fair.
and that was like, I was like, fuck, man, like this is it's gross, like it's a little gross, and
Yeah,
Hashtag
like
collar to on is right.
Yeah.
in that moment, he's
There
only
too.
looking at how happy she looks, not the atrocity she just committed.
that's
But it's one of those
exactly
like
my
you
point.
definitely should be looking at
That's
the
the
atrocity
problem.
she just committed.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the point. The point is that he's focusing on how good she looks and completely ignoring the atrocity. That
Yep.
is the entire point.
Like, here, hold this fuse for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll light it.
For real.
Ugh.
But we do know that was supposed to be one of the novels. One of the novels was supposed to be Matt and Tuon going back to Shanshan to try to get control over Shanshan after the Empress dies. And I would assume probably her siblings or cousins or other people of the blood trying to get control, or all of the above, and then above.
Love.
Yeah. So at least there's some truth to that. Like there's truth to that being one of the storylines. So
Yeah.
he set the breadcrumbs for us to find so that he could maybe do that. Obviously, we're not going to end up doing that. But the breadcrumbs that I'm sure he laid throughout the series with that in mind are still there. So,
And honestly, that's one of the things that I think the show can take and run
Yeah.
with.
absolutely. That like we know that
And show
Rafe-
us. Like, Rafe, don't just take them and run somewhere with them. Like,
Yeah, like I didn't mean that literally.
Literally,
No.
he's gonna hide.
Sharing is caring.
At
Mona, and
least
we know you're
release
listening right
the
now.
Deleted scenes.
That's true.
I mean,
He's gonna be
As
like a
you're laying
squirrel.
in bed, covered in decadent rose petals, sipping a fancy Chardonnay.
No, he's gonna be like a
Black Tower
squirrel. He
podcast.
takes all of the storylines and he's buried them all over so that he can go dig them up. But then he forgets where some of them are.
He's just rolling around.
they're
in
gonna
all
be in the
teaser
background of
tidbits he could
Taylor's
use, like-
photos.
Yes.
Secret
that should be
storyline.
the next teaser. Just two like characters that are going to be in season 3 as like pasties at the beach, blurred.
And all of the
That's
focus
a
is
free.
right
That's
here.
a free idea for you, Rafe. We won't even
There-
charge.
It's free real estate.
Like we know he's had access to a lot of the information. Like a lot of we don't know if he's read the notes directly, but Sarah's seen a lot of that information.
Oh yeah.
So
gonna
they
speculate.
have a lot of that backstory to a lot of the things that aren't in the main sequence. So there's a lot of stuff that they could pull from.
Right. All right. Well, we're getting to about that time, and I'd like to just throw it out to Reese one last time. Tell the people where they can find you, and give your sort of final thoughts about the dragon. Is this the only dragon? Is this the second dragon? Are there a million dragons? Like, sum it up for us.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
let's
keep
see.
it less than 4,000 words.
Just imagine the dragons right now.
I feel like I
Just-
would have a hard time coming up with 4,000 words. So I feel pretty confident just like talking right now.
I appreciate that.
Let's see. I'm Reese Sadai. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, although I only have one YouTube video, and it's me getting really excited over the trailer for season 1. So yeah, just Twitter. North Harbor Podcast. You should watch us. We say all the things you were thinking and didn't want to say.
You should. I agree.
And as for this episode and the dragon, I don't know. I feel like this is the second dragon, but maybe the first chicken. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see next stage what happens if they need another dragon or if there's a new animal that comes about. Like maybe next turning it's like this is the armadillo and he's gonna save us from everything. Really, I'm
Who's the
excited for the
armadillo?
Armadillo Reborn, but
Armadillo Reborn!
It's a lack of communication. So
North Harbor Podcast. If you want quality analysis like what you just got,
debatable.
and Mr. Tom from the illustrious and prestigious School of the Mount of Dragons.
Yes. I hang out on the slopes of Dragon Mount all the time.
It's a
You can
fact.
you just go to dragonmount.com and you could find links pretty much everywhere. I believe we're dragonmount.com on YouTube and Twitch. We do mostly, Wheel of Time stuff, but we've been branching out into other things, mainly due to the time in between seasons, the great quiet in between the two seasons. We were doing rewatching TV shows. We did like Mandalorian, Rings of Power. We were getting ready to do Good Omens when SAG After a Strike hit up, but now that that's over, we're probably going to get into some other stuff when we're done with our current rewatch of The Wheel of Time. But it's not just me over there. It's also Ebony Adamantis, another fantastic creator that we had writing articles for us for a long time. Crystal
May
has
she live
joined.
forever.
Yes.
May she live forever.
Joined me on started joining me on the rewatch episodes. Kitty Rollo, who is a fantastic person. I've known her for like 16 years. She does our TikToks, and she's been doing a lot of YouTube shorts.
She chased us through the airport.
Whattober.
Did she?
Check out her Whattober videos.
Her Whattober videos were on point. She does a lot of characters. I don't know if I like her Lanfear or her Rand more. I'm not sure.
I was
My
like
favorite-
getting makeup pointers from her videos.
My favorite was when Kitty was asking Lanfear if she could use her Starbucks stars. That was great.
She's fucking great. Her Bella is also fantastic. You got to see.
Yes.
Fun fact, though, she and her best friend Alina will be the what do they call them? The Toastmasters.
The Toastmasters.
Oh, right. At
Yes.
JordanCon.
Yeah, she's going to be Toastmaster. Her and Alina will be Toastmasters of JordanCon for next year. So if you're going to JordanCon in
And it's
2024, you'll see that.
It's the first ever duo, Toastmaster duo.
Yep. They had a trio before because Twatcast was a Toastmaster in the past, but this is the first duo, and it's traditionally the Toastmasters are kind of like the super fans, so it's not necessarily like a professional person.
Sure.
But you know
You invite the Twatcast, that's a given.
Yeah. They kind of got professionals though in that way when we became content creators, but in the past it's been like the super fans. Matt Hatch was a Toastmaster. I think he was the Toastmaster for either the first or no. Jason was the first one. Matt was the second one.
Speaking of,
Denzel.
it looks like both Matt Hatch and Maria Simmons are on podcast right now.
Are they? Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, they are.
That's true. Maria has not yet noped out after John O's offensive comments.
Oh,
No,
Jonah,
we
Maria
Jonah's
said
That's
she should come
terrible
on for
thing.
this one. Well, we sent word to her people that she should be on this one, but then they looked at us and said, "Per Simmons, she has a previous engagement."
When you said that before, that's that I almost got up and left. And I also simultaneously loved it because it was fantastic.
You would love one of my
Perfect.
coworkers who like 80% of his contribution, well, not 80%, 20% of his contribution is like just dad jokes.
I love them and hate them at the same time. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
They're painfully amazing.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah.
Tom,
Me.
aren't we doing something else as well?
Oh yeah, playing video games. Yeah. So I also recently started streaming video games on Twitch through Dragon Mount because we needed shit to do when there was no show going on. And you, Josh, also started playing video games, and apparently we enjoy each other's company so much that we want to keep doing stuff together.
Yeah, it's weird, but we're here for it,
Yeah. If I could, I would just we would touch beard, but I can't.
Do it.
Beard Five. Beard Five.
Well, you should feel jealous then. You should look back at the Gathering Madness videos whenever let's just say that a certain hatch motorboated our beards.
Oh man.
It was great. I'm gonna clip that and put it on our TikTok.
That
That's
needs
my
to be a
homework for
gift,
this
right?
week.
That needs to be
I
a
had
gift
to
if we
like
can get a good
I
smoothie.
had to put a sticker on my I had to put a ribbon from JordanCon on my monitor. It was so sensual.
Spicy content.
It was
Not safe
hashtag
for-
beard tugger. I had to put it on my monitor. Like it was required.
Not safe for taverns. Not safe for
I love
inns.
this.
Yeah, Flamingo Sedai, this is what happens when you don't tune in to the Gathering Madness,
Yeah.
sir.
Tune in to go back and watch. It was a live stream for us. The Welcome to the Gathering Madness 2022. Innkeeper Hatch was kind enough to grace us
2023
with his presence.
Let's just
Yeah, that one.
say
2023. I forgot what year it
Innkeeper
is.
Hatch appreciates beards more than I do. It's out there. It's out there.
I've
Wow.
only had a beard since 2019, but the number of times my beard has been motorboated is one. And it was with Matt
You
Hatch.
can retire on top now.
maybe the innkeeper has a soft spot for the Black Tower. Who knows?
When he gets
knows?
around this much, taint, it just
You know what?
intoxicates.
Everybody go on to
Anyone
X
gets around that much.
and tag the innkeeper and tell him.
It's going to be a ribbon now.
Yeah, it is.
Beard tugger.
Now it is.
Beard tugger.
Oh yeah, actually,
There might be added danger because if Maya comes, she grew up in Detroit, so you might actually risk your life to get this ribbon.
There are plenty of ribbons to go around.
that's
Me
right.
and
That's
her-
right.
Me and her will have to just battle over your beard, I guess.
No, it was
Perfect.
funny. Like I was FaceTiming with her earlier, and iPhone users have the ability to share screens with each other. And I happened to open TikTok to one of the last messages you sent me, and it was the POV me without you, and it's the kid that just doesn't move going down the slides. And she was just like, "Is that my competition?" And I was just like, "Yes, babe. Yes."
Yes. Yep. Totes.
I was actually thinking about this the other day. Andrew, the first time I met you was when I was getting the hashtag Beard Tugger ribbon from Adalorna at JordanCon in 2022.
I think so. Yeah, no,
And-
that last year, yeah.
Yep. And she was like, "Yeah, you got to pull somebody's beard. Ask this guy." And I was like, "Hey, could I pull on your beard?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Okay."
We provide a very niche service at JordanCon.
Yep. You could
Facts.
fill any niche you want, buddy.
So,
Hey, oh.
so if you would like a hashtag Beard Tugger ribbon,
That's
please
true.
find one of the Sisters of North Harbor and ask consent before
Always.
tugging on a beard.
Always.
That's important.
Please.
Also, if you find North Harbor, aka the room that they're staying in, and post a selfie of it, or at least that was the rule last year.
It was
If
the
you
rule
found the
last year.
room and posted a selfie, you got a ribbon that said, "I found North Harbor."
We might have to change the rules for this year.
Should be one that says like you omit the room number, but you show the door with like the sign.
Yeah, well, there's going to be multiple rooms. So just find us, the people, rather than the room. And I'm
Just
sure
when
you
I
can
thought
get
I
a ribbon.
found North Harbor, they told
You have
me
to find
there was
all three of
multiple.
you.
Yeah, now you got it.
Turns out,
this.
turns out it's different for every person.
Tavlon is so hard to please. God.
My final thoughts here on the very question we asked here. Rand, I think is definitely the second dragon in terms of known knowledge. If the guy that did your job, whether it was better or worse or not before you, and you pulled his title, that's what we should have done. You should have been the Sorvon Mahale reborn, not just Sorvon Mahale.
Perfect.
We should have done that, but it's too late now. You've been here for like what 3-4 years, so your replacement can take that one. I mean, nothing.
Oh shit! Look, the performance reviews are coming up this weekend. I didn't know I was doing bad.
Look, read the fine print. I took 54% of the vote, not just 50. So
Shit.
sorry. You're out. The reborn is in.
Was it 10%
Just
went
like
to
Land
patrons,
Fear, I
right?
don't care. I just want the new.
Save me,
Because
patrons.
His wee wee is different than the last one.
Oh, I forgot one thing. I'm also, if for anyone in the Atlanta area, there's a convention this weekend called Conjuration, and I'm going to be a guest there this weekend. I'm doing a bunch of panels.
Ooh, when is it?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I'm driving to Pennsylvania this weekend.
Oh, cool. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure one of those days I'll be in that area.
Yay! Yeah, so
Where is it? I'm
I'll
driving
send
the
you the
opposite
information when we get off. But if you just look up Conjuration and it's spelled, con, C-O-N, and then duration. But if you look up Conjuration Convention, you'll find that it's the first result. I don't have the link off the top of my head right now. But I'm going to be doing several panels. The one that Dragon Mountain is hosting specifically is Page to Screen, The Wheel of Time. And then we're doing a Dungeons and Dragons panel. I think I'm doing one called "Is Indiana Jones Magical Fantasy?"
Ooh.
Ooh.
Establishing positive mental health practices for the creative is another one. And then we're doing a panel on post-apocalyptic stories, and I'm going to be talking about the Wheel of Time in the sense of it being a post-apocalyptic.
Nice. Well,
It's gonna be fun.
I
It's a really
guess-
good- it's a fun convention.
Well,
So
with
if you're in
all
the
of
Atlanta
that-
area, check it out.
yeah.
With
I
all
guess
that,
I guess I'll round this out.
if you're not already, before Josh starts writing this out, go over and make sure you are following the Malkier Talks YouTube channel, because coming up December 2nd, starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time and going for a full 24 hours, there is a holiday this year. We have the incredible tasking, or the decision was made between the planners, of which I am one, most of which is Rob from Malkier Talks, and Cheyenne.
Who's an absolute
They
sweetheart.
do the bulk of it, and I scrape by saying, like, hey, I'll buy a couple gifts or prizes for people, and that's how I maintain my involvement. We'll be doing What a Holiday, and the donations will be split amongst the Lightweaver Foundation and the WGA, which is kind of one of the funds that goes to support all of the people that went on strike with the SAG strikes, SAG after strikes, because there are definitely still massive needs there. Even though a deal has been reached, there's still plenty of crews and stuff that need some help, and definitely
We're still
deserve
back
it for
pay
the-
on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
awesome.
Absolutely.
The
So
Entertainment Community Fund, it's called.
yes. So the goal is still going to be 10K, and if we make that magically 10K for each, that would be absolutely incredible. And we would also have no idea what to set the goal for the next year, which has been our response to every year so far, because we have smashed the goal every year. So look out for that. Again, Saturday, December 2nd, 24-hour live stream over on the Malkier Talks YouTube channel for What a Holiday, benefiting the Lightweaver Foundation, which is Brandon Sanderson's foundation, and the WGA supporting the SAG strikes. So go ahead and bookmark that. Take that time off of work. Take out a 14th mortgage on everything you own. Don't actually do that.
14. You're
Yes.
only on 14?
And if you don't
Fucking
on anything,
casual.
it's time for a first.
I mortgaged my mortgage. Oh yes, the mortgage appears to be made of mortgage. But
Love it.
Go and check that out. And if you can support by donating, please do. And if you can't, and you just want to come and hang out, please. Watching and helping share stuff out does a ton of support and helps
Right.
out a lot. 24 hours of Wheel of Time nerds talking about a bunch of Wheel of Time nerdy shit, or just playing games or whatever. So go and check it out.
You don't even have
and you're
to be
gonna hear me
awake
talk
for
about
it.
that a lot. Yeah. Should definitely go. I mean, there's just a couple people in it. Black Tower's in it. Black Tower's in it. The Sora Von Mahale and Bijan Mahale are in that. Also, the guys over at the Black Tower podcast are in it.
I heard the guys at the Black Tower. are gonna be-
It's still up in the air. They might be there, but
There's
they will
this-
be
Who
on
knows?
after.
Who knows?
30
weird
minutes
new
after
group.
Black Tower podcast starts.
This weird new group, they're called like, wait, what was this? I think it's like the Black Tower podcast. They're going to be in it too.
Yeah. They start 15 minutes after the folks that start 30 minutes after the Black Tower podcast starts.
That's
Oh,
what-
God. Okay.
Go and check it
so
out. Go ahead, Josh. Stop us or stop me from random
Homework!
nonsense.
For everyone listening right now, you will go follow my good friends at North Harbor Podcast. They have a map. There's no excuse.
There's no
You will go
excuse.
follow our good friends at Dragon Mount. Tom, who won Sexiest Beard in the Black Tower. Go follow Dragon Mount on all their socials. And then third bit of homework is to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, obviously, on our YouTube channel. But also go to our Twitch, where you will see me suck at video games and play with other Wheel of Time folks. Okay? And as always, we love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the best podcast in the world and for being the best people, best listeners in the world, scientifically proven. And from all of us here at the Black Tower, we hope that you're having a fantastic night, and we hope that you've enjoyed this weekly dose of taint. And we hope that you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here. From all of us here at the Black Tower, I am Josh, your Soro von Mahale.
And if you're not enjoying yourself, Per Simmons